Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazin. For those of you that have been on the edge of your seats after Season 5 going, what's happening Season 6 Game of Thrones? You're going to get a little insight here. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, thank you so much for being here. First of all, by him standing here, he hasn't died. So congratulations.
Thank you.
In the season. Talk a little bit about Season 6. I mean, I know you can't talk about much, but where do we start evolving with your character? I mean, how much?
Well, I think, at the end of Season 5, he was sent on a mission by his sister to get their daughter Marcella back, and he kind of accomplished that. Unfortunately, she died on the way home, so now he's bringing back, it's a horrible situation, he's bringing back the corpse of Cersei's daughter, and it's complicated. It's not a good thing and it's a horrible situation for both of them. And while he was gone, the whole religious uprising at King's Landing with the Faith Militant, High Sparrow, he hasn't experienced that, so it's a whole new dynamic he has to kind of navigate in. So that's what he's stepping back into.
And one of the things that's interesting, having seen the first episode of Season 6, is you're starting to see the women be a little more proactive. I mean, they're almost like not taking charge, but they're definitely asserting themselves a lot more. Do you think that's going to make a more interesting storyline, a dynamic?
Well, I think the women have been very strong throughout the seasons, but there's no question that a lot of the houses are ruled by women now, and they are in many instances calling the shots. We're very lucky. We have some amazing actresses in the show, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but clearly they have a huge part to play in how to play the Game of Thrones.
And one of the things about Games of Thrones is it's such a huge spectacle. Like they were talking last night at the premiere about that at some point there were 4 different crews working at the exact same time. So how involved are you with the other aspects of the show, or do you just kind of know your storyline, and then when you see the show, it's a surprise to you?
Well, I mean, I read the script, so I know what's going to happen in all the storylines. But you're right. I mean, there's I'm not there when they shoot it. So to like last night, see the first episode, it's thrilling because one thing is reading it, but then when the scope is so big, and like. Just last night, seeing it on a big screen, it just blows your mind because it's so cinematic. And when they have crowd scenes, they have like massive crowd scenes. It really is. It's a rare show as an actor because you can actually sit down and really enjoy it because you only experience your part of it when you shoot it, and then 9/10 of the rest of the show, you can actually just go and go, wow, this is.
But one of the epic aspects of it too is that the geography and the location and the weather that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
What moment has there been there for you where you've gone, this is kind of cool? I mean,
well, in Season 6, there were a few moments, but of course I can't give that away. But I think, to me, kind of the attention to detail with the set design, the costumes. Every time you go on set, there's always something where you go, how did they accomplish that? I mean, how is this thing is only going to feature in one episode, and they built this massive structure, house, set. It just, I think that's one of the things that are so attractive also when you watch the show is that you can tell this is not a CGI, this is a real build. And I wish I could tell you about more about this season, but I can't.
He's going to make us watch. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Exactly.
We have to watch. The last question for you, and that is, one of the elements of the show that constantly surprises audiences is you never know who's going to live and who's going to die. And even some of the actors over the course of the years have talked about that. They don't know.
No.
And it's a surprise. How much does that keep you on your feet in a sense of, or is there a sadness when some of your workers that you worked with last Monday are now going to be gone next Monday?
Well, there's always that sense when you get the scripts for the new season. There is anticipation. How is this going to play out? One thing is, of course, who will die. That's the obvious. But there's also just because there are so many surprises and twists in the story that you can't really, you couldn't make it up. I mean, you have to just go with it. I mean, for me, the whole rising of the religious uprising was I didn't see that coming, and it both in King's Landing, but also in with the golden masks, what they called, with Daenerys. That whole thing, that completely changed the power structure. It's fascinating, and I think that's one of the keys to the success. The constant surprises. You never know who's going to live, who's going to die, but also just you don't know what's going to happen next.
Well, thank you for being here. That means we
you.
know he's living so far.
So far.
Thank you. Terrific. Really enjoyed the show. And this is Scott Orlin. Until next time.
Thank you.